Chicago Bulls will once again play the rest of the season without their star point guard, Derrick Rose. I'm Jim Basquil alongside Tim Legler, and they lose Rose early in the season. They didn't have him all of last season, Tim. But last season they had Nate Robinson and Marco Bellinelli to help give him some punch from the backcourt and from the perimeter. How do they feel to build this year?
Well, look, they're always going to defend. They're going to play hard, so it's going to give them a chance every night. They're going to be in games. The difference is not having that offensive punch on the perimeter is really tough to win in this league when you don't have guards that can take over the game and go get shots for themselves. That's what Nate Robinson did for this team a year ago when Rose went down. Remember, Nate Robinson, that incredible run he had in the playoffs. He basically single-handedly beat the Nets in a playoff series last year. And now you don't have that. Bellinelli was huge for them last season and in the playoffs. He's gone now playing in San Antonio, helping that team be one of the best in the league. You know, they get Kirk Heinrich back, but they don't have enough offensive firepower up front to make up for this loss because Taj Gibson's not a great offensive player. Joakim Noah's never been. Carlos Boozer has his moments, has his nights. You know, Jimmy Butler's a guy that I expected to take more of a leap this year offensively based on what he showed me in the postseason last year. Luol Deng is by far their most consistent offensive player, but he's 15 to 18 a night. You know, where are you going to get that unexpected 20 points on a given night, maybe even off your bench? They don't really have that right now, so they're going to have to grind it out. But look, Tom Thibodeau is one of the top 2 or 3 coaches in this league. He's always going to keep his teams in games with their scheme and their preparation defensively. The question is, who's going to make shots for you down the stretch? That's going to be the big problem for them.
Does this put, you mentioned the fact that they're a great defensive team, and they were last year, and that was the backbone of their success. Teague, does this put a lot on him to kind of, hey, elevate your game, it's time?
Grow up faster. Yeah, it does. And you know what? For some players, that's really what they need at this stage is just playing time. Give me the basketball, put me on the court. It's an opportunity to get comfortable, get your feet wet, and start to really know who you are and who you can be as an NBA player. And it could pay huge dividends down the road. You know, Derrick Rose comes back next year. It is healthy. Now you have another young guard in your rotation that got a chance to play meaningful minutes, and it completely elevated his maturity. And that's what Teague's going to get an opportunity to do. And he's going to have some nights where it's going to frustrate everybody, I'm sure, offensively. But that bottom line is get the experience. And you can't get that if Derrick Rose is out on the floor. You're not going to get that. You're going to still basically be learning by watching and in practice. And there's nothing like putting a uniform on, stepping on the court, and getting live game action to make you grow up in a hurry in this league.
Tim, how about this thought process, though? With Rose, you have championship aspirations. Without him, maybe thought of as a playoff team, but the title might be too big a prize to grasp at. Is there a thought process here that maybe you scrap the whole thing? Luol Deng's a prospective free agent. The trade deadline, you get rid of him, and you know there's a lot of talent coming in the draft. Maybe you gear up for the draft and kind of retool?
I wouldn't. I'd give this at least one more year. Okay. You know, I know you got to make a decision with Luol Deng. So if you could move Deng and get parts that you think are going to help you long-term, help you moving forward, I think you still, unfortunately, have to wait for Derrick Rose to come back and see what he's going to be, because this roster was built around him. You have all complementary parts that do all of the nuts and bolts types of things that allow your superstar to go out and just play and take over games. And that's how they're built. So if you're going to go ahead and scrap it all, what then are you going to have when Derrick Rose comes back? That's something you have to ask yourself, because if Derrick Rose comes back next year and he looks a lot like the Derrick Rose that was the MVP of this league, and you've gotten rid of all of his supporting cast and gone with draft picks and with young players and expiring contracts, Derrick Rose isn't going to be very happy to come back to that. And so I just think you really have to just be patient. It's rough if you're a Chicago Bulls fan, because it's 2 years in a row you're asked to do this. But I just think you don't have a choice based on the way this roster is composed.
Again, for the second straight season, the Chicago Bulls will have to find a way without their star, Derrick Rose. Keep up with the Bulls right here on ESPNChicago.com. For Tim Legler, I'm Jim Basquil.